Good evening, everyone. Curry College Chief Weather Forecaster Joe Shock here. Big severe weather ticket item coming this week in the Central Plains, Southeast, and maybe again into the Northeast. So we have to really investigate, if you will, and really watch this quite closely. Obviously, we saw the tornado this past week and the Saturday night in Western Massachusetts in Conway, Mass. Now, still having a problem with the screen here, so I'm trying to fix this, and I don't know how to get rid of that blurriness or screen altercation, or I don't know what the issue is exactly, with even the proper name for that issue what you see in the screen. But in any case, here's the day 2 outlook for tomorrow. You can see enhanced risk here, slight risk here, marginal risk here. May even see moderate risk get put in here somewhere. Here is Wednesday's severe weather threat. You can see enhanced. Again, there could be some moderate, there's slight, and there's marginal. And I think there's a shot that this marginal risk could extend, into further into New England because of some of the parameters that we'll take a look at in a couple minutes. But again, this is a big outbreak. Look how much area we're talking about here at severe weather, as cold air will be coming into the play here, and there'll be record warmth out in front. Here is the NAM 4 kilometer. The 3 kilometer has not yet finished, so I do not have that available. But take a look here. Wednesday morning, we're going to see a squall line starting to develop here in Illinois and up into Ohio here. And this is going to continue to move east and really up into southeast Canada, as the surface low itself will be up in this region here in southeast Canada, moving along. But again, this is the initialization, 6-7 a.m. Wednesday Central Time. And then as we move our way here to look at the significant tornado parameter, these are very high values in through here. You can see that red, we start getting 4, 5, and even close to 6 for a significant tornado parameter. That is pretty strong. Once you start getting past 1 or 2, 1.5, there is an increasing chance of at least a tornado. We can't forecast how many there could be in a certain area, but this is a relatively strong indicator that the tornado threat is real Wednesday morning in this particular area. And here's a supercell composite for rotating thunderstorms. Again, very high. A lot of areas 15 to 25, even as high as 35. And this magenta shading right in through here. So again, this is a big severe weather ticket item, I believe. Here is the jet stream at 30 to 35,000 feet, so you can see the strong inflow here of the jet stream. The entrance region of the jet stream coming in, if you will. About 100, let me see. About 140 knots or so, 145 knots, give or take. So that will provide certainly plenty of energy for these storms to be feeding off of. Here's the low-level jet, so you can see the brown and the red in through here, 64 to 76 knots. So this is a very strong jet maximum coming in through here to help feed the wind into these storms. So again, damaging winds are going to likely be a big threat with these storms as well, with, again, the potential tornado threat. Excuse me. Here is the radar for Wednesday afternoon. Now in the Northeast, you can see how the model is depicting what could be potentially supercell thunderstorms developing from West Virginia here up into western PA, northeast PA, and obviously now into southern New England here in western New England, Wednesday 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Here is the Cape, the surface-based Cape at least, so you can see the instability tongue is really in here, and we start losing instability as we come into southern New England. But again, there will be elevated instability, and there's going to be a very high wind shear profile in here from 0 to 6 kilometers. So if you, again, take a look at this past Saturday, this developed essentially in a very low, if not any instability was around, but we had extremely strong wind shear, and that is how we had significant severe weather in most of the Northeast on Saturday afternoon and evening. Again, that tornado, that EF1 tornado in Conway, Massachusetts, that was all based on the amount of shear we had in the atmosphere, which was very strong at the time. So we don't necessarily always need instability at the surface to have severe weather. There are other things that go into play when you're talking about severe weather, especially this time of year, this far north. Here is the significant supercell composite parameter. You can see very high values again into Berkshire County, and this area here that is in the slight risk. And again, this area could be expanded by the SPC tomorrow, so we will have to evaluate that tomorrow. The significant tornado parameter, again, Berkshire County, almost at a 3.0. So, I mean, again, that's a relatively high indice. And you can see in PA, southern PA, in New Jersey, we're talking 3s and 4s, almost 5. So again, the atmosphere is very conductive for significant severe weather within this whole area. So this entire area really needs to pay attention closely Wednesday afternoon into the Wednesday evening time frame. Surface temperatures, you can see here, 60s and 70s are plentiful, especially further south. One thing we will have to watch in New England, given the surface flow and the water, again, is still quite cool. Water temperatures only in the 40s and 50s. What we're going to have to watch for, as we will see southwest winds coming into southern New England, and with that cooler water to the south, it could limit the amount of instability or even a loft, and certainly keep temperatures a little bit cooler than they would be during the summer, as water temperatures would obviously be warmer. So that's something to note in southern New England. Also, one thing to note, and I think this could have helped play a role in the tornado development on Saturday night, is on Saturday we did see the marine layer come on in from the east, and then it backed west, and that's where the marine layer really stalled Saturday afternoon. So that created another boundary, another area for spin in the atmosphere, and that's where that tornado spun up, right along that marine boundary that's set up on Saturday evening in western Massachusetts. So when we have this threat of severe weather Wednesday, we're going to have to see if there's any boundary that can set up with this southwest flow coming off the cooler Atlantic. If there's a sea breeze front that does set up in southern New England with all the other parameters around, we will have to watch closely any thunderstorms that develop if they are able to tap and take advantage of whatever boundary that could be here, especially in southern New England. If there's, say, let's say there's a couple supercells or thunderstorms that come east, and there's this boundary that is set up around the Mass Pike or so, that they could easily take that boundary and start rotating as they move into this high sheared environment to begin with. So that is something to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, as we work our way into Wednesday. Will there be any boundaries to enhance spin in southern New England to add the potential for obviously rotating supercells, thunderstorms, which could go on to produce maybe a tornado? So keep that in mind Wednesday afternoon as we get a little bit closer. Here is the dew point temperatures. Again, upper 50s to lower 60s, very supportive for thunderstorm development and growth. And again, here's the radar for the evening. Again, I was just mentioning, there could be some supercells along this boundary that in southern New England that could tap that and obviously rotate. And again, more severe weather here along I-95 heading into the mid-Atlantic. Again, in the warm sector, temperatures in the 70s, well above average, 20 to 30 degrees above average in this area. So again, this is an atmosphere that is conductive for severe weather. Here is the NAM, the surface to 500 millibar bulk shear. This is a Wednesday afternoon. Actually, this is the wrong image. This was actually this afternoon, so I have to go to the next one. Here it is. You can see at the bottom here. This is valid on March 2nd evening, March 2nd, 0Z, which is really March 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, March 2nd, 0Z, Thursday, but yeah, Zulu time, excuse me. But again, I mean, look at this. This is a very high sheared environment, 70 to 80 knots of bulk shear from the surface up to 500 millibars. So that first 18,000 feet or so of the atmosphere, there's very, very strong wind potential coming in here, which could, again, feed what could be a mesoscale band that could go on to produce damaging winds along this whole area that we have been talking about. Here is the, let me just see if I got the time on this right. Yes, here's the a surface of 500 millibar wind shear vector. Again, let me try to get in a little bit closer here so you can see what I'm talking about here. The red lines are the winds obviously coming in at the surface according to here. And as we know that from our studies of meteorology, you can see, again, we've been talking about this boundary that could be setting up. You can see we have southwest winds coming in here into southern New England, 10 to 25 knots. Then at 500 millibars, we have that very, very strong mid-level jet, again, 70 to 80 knots, which is what you saw here. And obviously, here's the surface winds overlay. So you can see we have, about 60 to maybe even 75 degrees of directional shear here, and probably a good 55 to 65 knots of speed shear. So this is something we have to, really, really watch and see how the models handle and capture this. Obviously, as we get closer to the models, we'll be able to resolve this a little bit better. But again, the shear profiles are there. So again, this is a very, very volatile situation moving into that time frame. So again, here's Wednesday evening into early Thursday morning, 1, 2 in the morning as the front begins to pass. You can see very, very high shear here in the atmosphere. So we will see what develops if the atmosphere is able to tap any of the share, and convection can tap any of the share to obviously maximize the severe weather outbreak. But I will keep you updated here because, again, it's very, very early in the season to see these big outbreaks. So we will see what can evolve out of this. That's it for now, and thank you for watching.